Moving on now, after starting her online campaign against rape threats being made on social media these days, Chennai-based singer Chinmayi Sripada has spoken exclusively to India Today. In fact, Chinmayi, who was threatened online for expressing her opinion, has filed an online petition demanding Twitter to do a mass shutdown of all of the accounts that encourage violence against women on social media. She said if Twitter can shut down accounts for having links to terrorism, the same can also be done to accounts that promote violence against women. Okay, let's just go straight across to the singer Chinmayi Sripada, who is joining us right now on the broadcast. Chinmayi, thanks so much for speaking to us. This is a very powerful campaign to combat online violence that we're seeing these days against women. Can you just tell us a little bit more about this campaign and why is it that you have decided to start this movement now?
I myself have suffered serious trolling which has had repercussions on my real life, out of which 5 years ago I had gone and filed a case, and there were 2 arrests made, not because Twitter divulged any details, in spite of the fact that the police wrote to Twitter and asked them for the details of these accounts, and they refused to share the details, in which case I had to post the photographs of these people that were trolling me relentlessly, and which included a lot of very derogatory and stuff that one of them actually lied, saying I spoke derogatory about the Tamil Nadu fishermen. And at that point in time, in 2012, the Tamil Nadu fishermen issue was at a it was a boiling point at that point in time. So when somebody just put out and inserted a lie like this, a lot of people were just ready to believe, and they pounced on me, and I faced a lot of things, including stuff like I deserve to be raped and cut to pieces, and things like that. So whether or not I said that was, nobody waited to check. And I filed a case, and the addresses of 2 people were found only because there were fans that responded, and they told me that one of them was their professor, and one of them was a neighbor, and we got their addresses, and with that the police was able to make those arrests. And I think in the recent past, especially in the case of this very evocative girl who came out with her opinion about maintaining peace, I noticed that it seems to be this is no matter which lady comes out, whether it is an established woman journalist, or whether it is anybody in the public space, especially if it's a woman, a lot of people on Twitter think it is okay to say, I will rape you to teach you a lesson. You need to be raped, I will rape you, I'll throw acid on your face. And considering acid is so freely available in this country to maim and and to even kill women if required, nothing has been done to address that yet, in spite of having claimed so many victims.
Right.
We are naturally afraid, because we don't know how many of them. A lot of people say barking dogs don't bite, why do you have to be worried? But you never know, right? Because some things like this can actually spill onto the roads, and this was I had been drafting this, and we had been working on this for a few days now, and we thought it would be the Women's Day of 2017 could be the right time. And as another journalist friend of mine said, the Nirbhaya funds, even though they have been allocated, they have not even been touched. No safety measures have been put in place for women.
Absolutely, and Chinmayi, that's the disturbing trend, isn't it, to see how women increasingly are being subjected to such bitter and vicious trolls. Do you think social media is becoming a breeding ground of sorts? We saw what happened to a young Delhi University student, Gurmeher. Do you feel that trolls such as these are only getting emboldened by silence?
The Chennai floods was an example of how Twitter and Facebook helped rally all the people together to help and ask for help and to reach help through so many people. They can't come back and say, Twitter is not real, social media is not real, you just deactivate your account and go if you think. There was this one particular tweet which said, if Twitter is unsafe for women, just deactivate and go. So basically, as I understand it now, even the streets are unsafe for women. The world as such seems unsafe for women. We are at there's this constant fear that what if somebody, I can't even use a bathroom, a public bathroom, without this, somewhere there is this niggling doubt at the back of my head. What if somebody has put out a camera there? I don't know if I go for a concert or a show tomorrow, if I'm using a hotel room and if I'm changing, I don't know if somebody has put a spy camera there which will be leaked on to various media tomorrow. So the woman, but just because she's a woman, is facing all these threats just based on gender, nothing else. She doesn't even have to have an opinion, but this is all there is. And eventually you will be slut shamed. Nobody is even asking about the perpetrator, who's done this, who's actually assaulting. Nobody is finding out, but the victim is always shamed in this case.
Absolutely. And Chinmayi, that's the frightening part, isn't it? That lurking danger of your personal information being possibly misused. Now, you're a celebrity, you're very respected, and you're someone who's launched this very powerful campaign. But any other citizen possibly would be too scared to speak out, or perhaps too dejected, thinking that, well, what is the point of, speaking out against these trolls if no action will be taken? What is your message to women such as these who are targeted on social media?
I only want women to keep fighting, because I guess that's the only way we can probably see light at the end of the tunnel.
Absolutely. And Chinmayi, what was your take on RJ Suchitra, who has been also in the news for the kind of messages that she has been posting out via her Facebook page, and she certainly has taken internet by storm. You have spoken about that incident. Can you just share with us?
Imbalanced tweets that were going on from her account, and I was wondering that something is either wrong or somebody else has taken over her account. And since it even though it had about 4 lakh followers even at that point in time, I wasn't even sure if it was her tweeting. And there was an incident that involved her, and there were a lot of people who were worried about her behavior even then, and thereafter she had actually started ranting around last month itself. Thankfully not too many people noticed it, and when these rants started, we knew that something was seriously wrong. Her family had told us that she was having an emotional breakdown, which her husband Kartik Kumar himself had posted on Facebook. And as colleagues, as human beings, it was only the best thing to do to understand her state of mind and health and keep silent, because we knew what was going on and you don't comment on it. But it had crossed a line. It had crossed a very, very, very tough line. And in my opinion, these videos, what happens in somebody's bedroom between two consenting adults is nobody's business, and it is nobody's right to out or expose. Because if we start exposing, I don't know how many industries and how many homes will actually be ruined at the end of this. And not just the cinema industry, I'm talking about every industry, right from the road laying to medicine to our legal system, to name any industry. There are stories of men trying very hard to exploit or coerce the women under their employ for a lot of things. And in this particular case, what hurt me most is that there were these it was despicable what was done. And this additional thing that there was this timetable that was put out saying that there will be a video and a photograph of Chinmayi, there will be a video and a photograph of Chinmayi. And I was like, I dare you, please release a video, please release a photograph, because there is none. And the clear slut shaming that followed after that, with people just coming out and saying, I know you did adjustments to be who you are, but I'm one of those people who, of the many, I'm not just one, I'm one of the many, the scores of women in the industry who have actually had to do no adjustments to be who we are today. All that it requires is actually only talent. And this is something that I think women across the board, we are not saying that there aren't women who face exploitation. There are ugly places in every space, in every street, in every road. But I have actually been, which is what I said, that in my life and in as long as my experience is concerned, my interactions with people is concerned, I have had a life of no adjustments, and that is true even of my mother. And to even paint the cinema industry as this one very ugly, terrible place where there are ugly human beings walking about, that's not true. But there is there is no point, shouting out of the rooftops, because what she's done, the damage that's been done is done. She has whatever her health capacity could be, whatever has gone out is wrong. But the fact remains that I think I only hope she finds I hope she finds healing, and I hope she becomes a better person.
But Chinmayi, that's the point. I mean, don't you think that that's exactly where the point is lost when one thinks that, okay, the damage has done, what can one do about it? Why is it that nobody complained against those tweets, against those messages? Because personal friendships aside, most of the top stars' personal lives were splashed on social media. Why is it that nobody, registered a complaint then?
See, that is the only thing. If you are talking to somebody who's anybody in their right frame of mind will not be doing this. I hope we'll agree on that. However, in this particular case, I'll have to point out this one particular inconsistency. When she actually tweeted out this photograph of her hand, of that being hurt, and somebody from Mr. Poor thing, his name's been dragged unnecessarily. That somebody from his office came and assaulted her. Minutes before that, I am sure somebody has a screenshot. Minutes before that, she said, I am filing a case of domestic violence against my husband, and here is the proof, he hit me. That was the photograph. I mean, that was a photograph, and that was a tweet that carried that photograph 2 minutes ago. And she also tweeted, my language translation company was hacking her account. She has also given interviews saying that, of course, she didn't name me in those interviews. If she claims that her account was hacked, she has tweeted that it was my language translation services company. She has taken the name, and if she went on these channels, she said a language translation company has been found to be hacking her account, and she hired a private cyber security detective. I would really like to know who this company is, because my company is not a brick and mortar company. Okay. And I don't have an office. I don't even have one person in my salaried thing. My company works from the cloud, and that's how it has been for the past 10 years. I have a registered office as required by law, but I still don't need to run a brick and mortar office, and that is how so there were a lot of these contradictory tweets that I'm sure a lot of people missed, and they have just latched on to some things because of the names involved. But she has contradicted herself so many times, and it only it states the capacity and the frame of mind that she was in.
All right, Chinmayi, thank you so much.
There is no point in advising somebody.
Right. Thank you so much, Chinmayi, for joining us and speaking out and telling us a little bit more about that online petition that you have begun, demanding Twitter to do a mass shutdown. Indeed, that is very powerful. Thanks so much for joining us.